everyone, and welcome back to our monthly news, which has a slightly different look and format for this month. So I am very pleased and excited to welcome everyone's favourite presenter, David Seal, to join me for the news. Hello, David.
Well, thanks for that introduction.
Are you happy to be here?
I am nervous, excited, curious to hear what the viewers think of this format.
Okay, you're in the hot seat now.
I am.
So David's going to help me present some of the news. We're also going to be answering some of your questions that you guys leave in the comments, and we will also give you a couple of updates from what's been going on in the channel and what will be happening on the channel, so do stick around for that. Let's start off with what's been happening in the last 4 weeks. So first of all, I'm going to start with a story about a very exciting yacht that's going to be attending the Monaco Yacht Show. This is the 118-metre Fedship Breakthrough, and we talked about her quite a lot on the channel because she does live up to her name. She is a real breakthrough for the yachting industry. So she is a hydrogen fuel cell powered super yacht. She can store liquid hydrogen on board, but as David actually rightly pointed out before we started filming, she can also store methanol. So really groundbreaking technology, and it'll be really exciting to see her actually in Port Hercule, or hopefully in Port Hercule. We don't actually know if she'll be actually in the harbour or possibly at anchor, but it'll be very exciting for the industry to get a proper look at her. I mean, she's down here on the Côte d'Azur now. She's berthed over in Antibes. Have you seen her yet, David?
I don't think I have, but I'm not one of those people who sees a yacht from a distance and says, that's breakthrough, or that's, whatever.
Those losers, eh?
Those anoraks, that's right. But I've been to at least 2 conferences where Fedship were present, and they were talking about the technology behind it, and it really is, as you say, it's a breakthrough.
Yeah, it is. It's really impressive stuff. And I mean, the eco-credentials, I think some of our viewers, because we've talked about this yacht a couple of times on the channel before, some of your viewers have left comments saying they are, not quite certain or wary about the safety that surrounds this boat. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I get that. I get the concern because, you think of hydrogen, you think of the Zeppelin, what was it called? The big Zeppelin that blew up. Hydrogen's a very explosive subject. it's an explosive substance. And a subject. But when I read those comments, with the best will in the world, I don't know who's writing them. Are they a scientist? Is it just a concern that they've got? Do they, and I really don't mean this in a nasty way, but do they really know what they're talking about? Because what I do know is that Fedship's reputation is second to none in the industry. Their concern for safety is also as high as it can be. But then you've got the flag state who are putting their country's flag on the yachts that will be also looking at the safety. You've got the Classification Society who's doing exactly the same. You've got the owner's rep who will be doing exactly the same. And those 4 sets of entities who are at the peak of their industry give me confidence that it's going to be a very safe boat. Yeah,
I agree, absolutely. I think, very safe and very well designed. So it's an RWD design, and no one's seen on board yet, of course. But I have a friend who's been on board, and he actually told me that there's almost like an owner's apartment contained within the yacht, so almost like a mini yacht within the large yacht, which I thought was very interesting, very cool. I've never seen something like that before.
So more like an owner's deck? Or
no, more than that. Something that runs through multiple decks, like an apartment within the yacht was how it was described to me, which,
That is interesting. We, as you know, I prefer not to name names of owners, but this particular yacht has got a very big rumour as to who the owner is. And if that is the case, we chartered him a yacht many years ago, and actually a much bigger yacht than Breakthrough. And the feedback that I heard from him and his then wife was it was too big. They said it's like being in a shopping mall all on your own, apart from obviously this crew around you. So I wonder if that influenced their decision to have a contained area that's their space and that was a comfortable space for them.
Yeah, you're probably right, actually. That sounds like a good solution to that problem. A nice problem to have, eh?
It's a lovely problem to have.
My boat's too big.
Yes.
So Breakthrough will be attending the Monaco Yacht Show. She'll be the largest yacht there, and we are very excited to see her there. Moving on to our next piece of news, this is about Mayora, so a brand of the Next Yacht Group. The shipyard based in Viareggio has just released a new 42-metre Exuma model. Now, those Exuma models, are you familiar with them?
I'm actually not.
They're really cool because they are wide-body designs, very, very spacious, but also pretty fast. I think they all have water jets, and they are 35 metres and 35 knots, which is pretty good for that size of boat. And I really like the design of the original Exuma models. This new one will be slightly different because it's got a layout that I think is quite revolutionary. You can tell me if you agree, but basically they are doing away with the main deck salon and instead putting all of the guest accommodation at main deck level. And what do you think that frees up the lower deck for, if you had to guess?
Crew, I would guess.
Crew is correct. So they're actually making all the crew quarters on the lower deck, and the idea is to kind of give the crew slightly more space. In theory, make the boat run a bit better because, of course, if the crew are having a better time, you know, happy crew, happy owner is the old saying. And actually, the designer of the boat is Ellie Saab. Do you know who that is?
No idea.
No. Ellie Saab is a wedding, among other things, a wedding dress designer.
Well, that's why I have no idea.
Yeah, so I mean, interesting layout, interesting design choices. I think this could be a really exciting new model from Mayora.
And you know, one of the comments, which is the most common comments that we get on the channel, is when people see crew quarters and they're shocked at how small those quarters are. And when you and I were talking about this earlier, we got onto the terrible topic of the alleged murder of a stewardess that happened recently, Paige Bell. And, you know, I didn't want to talk about that on the YouTube channel because it just didn't feel right to profit in some way from such an awful event. However, it did make me think that in the yachting industry, you have a lot of often good-looking young guys, young girls working in such close proximity, under stress, under pressure, and often with a guy and a girl having to share a cabin. And it's not a healthy environment all of the time. And I just can't help thinking that if crew, I mean, there's no excuse at all for what allegedly happened in that particular event. But certainly by giving crew a little bit more space, a little bit more respect and dignity, it may alleviate some of the sort of that kind of tension that can happen on a yacht.
Yeah, I think you're right. And you're quite right. We see a lot of boats where the crew accommodation is so cramped, really shoving them in together. And this could be a nice way to introduce a bit more crew livability to the industry with this new model.
Yeah, we were talking as well about how this has triggered the whole crew background check.
Yes, exactly. So I think there's been a new petition that's been going around that's calling for stricter background checks and better protocols for management companies when they are hiring crew. So what do you think about that? Do you think that's the way forward?
Yeah, well, I mean, you mentioned that we're going to put a link in the description to
the petition. So if you want to sign it, if you want to give it a read, it will be in the description box below.
And you know, for me, I think background checks, of course, are always important. But above all, I hope and I believe that this will trigger a response from captains. We were filming Caribou, the sailing yacht, and we got onto the topic of the Bayesian, which of course sank, tragic loss of life there as well. And the captain of Caribou said that after that happened, all of the sailing yacht captains that he knew were suddenly looking at their stability booklet, looking at their rigging and layout to see if their yacht was in peril as well. And in the same way, I really hope that this awful event will make yacht captains suddenly look at what's happening with their crew on board. Is there something that they thought was just a little bit of harmless banter that may be more sinister than that? And, you know, the captains that I know on the whole are very, very professional people, and I'm sure that they'll now be looking in a different light at things that are happening on their yacht to prevent anything like that happening again.
So it could be a bit of a wake-up call for the industry,
Yes.
hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to our final piece of news. This is about the luxury yacht fee. Now, do you know about fee?
I've seen a few headlines, but I didn't read the whole article, but something's happening there, isn't it?
Well, it's been happening for years, so it's a real ongoing legal saga. So Fee is the Royal Houseman yacht. She's electric blue, I think just under 50 metres, and she's been berthed in the Thames since delivery, which was about 3 years ago now. So she fell victim to sanction law in the UK. So I'm going to read out a little bit of legal jargon for you because I want to make sure I get this right. So the most recent update is that the United Kingdom Supreme Court has decided to uphold the detention of the yacht, dismissing an appeal brought by her legal owner. The court found the decision to detain the yacht under the UK's Russian sanction regime was proportionate, lawful, and served a legitimate public interest. Now, the context around this is that Fee's owner is a Russian national, but he has not and has never been on any sanctions lists and has vehemently denied any links to Putin's regime in Russia. He's also pointed out that his other yachts are allegedly free to roam in EU waters. It is just his yacht Fee in the UK that has been seized and arrested. And he also is saying that the yacht is essentially rotting away in London, his brand new yacht, and it poses a serious environmental risk and also potentially a fire risk. And I was in touch with the captain at the time, and he told me, I believe, that the yacht had to contend with trespassers and vandalism, and apparently at one point there was a physical altercation between a crew member and someone who broke in on board the yacht. But I actually can't find evidence of that, so that's what I believe to have happened, but I'm not 100% sure. And I'm going to tread quite carefully here because this is an ongoing legal issue. It's been really drawn out in court. There's been a lot of court hearings about this yacht. And it's just quite interesting because, I mean, what do you think? The yacht's owner is not sanctioned, and the UK court was arguing that in order for sanctions to have an effect, they have to be far-reaching. It doesn't matter if you can say, well, I'm not actually connected to this, so my boat shouldn't be a part of this punishment. But actually, the UK courts say, no, we don't care. Like, you know, you're still a part of Putin's regime in some way or another, and therefore we're going to keep your yacht arrested.
It's an odd story, isn't it? The Fee story is a particularly odd one. And in a certain sense, yacht brokers have the same kind of challenge that they certainly can't do business with sanctioned Russians. But then sometimes, it's happened recently to a colleague, it's sufficient that the client has a Russian passport and they're told, we don't want to do business with them. I hate the fact that politics have got involved with the yachting industry. And I don't know enough about politics to really have an opinion on whether the right decision has been made or a bad decision has been made. But I hate to think of the pride that shipyards have taken in building some of these remarkable yachts, absolute masterpieces of craftsmanship and engineering, and now they can't be used.
Yeah.
And it's I mean, heartbreaking would be too strong a word, but it's sad. It's sad that it's come to this.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, particularly for Fee, I believe it's Lawson Robb who did the interior design. And it was one of their first, or not first, but one of their really big projects. And I was speaking to the designer about it, and they were saying, you know, we took so much pride in this. We really gave it our all to make this interior design. And, you know, we were hoping to put it in for awards programs. We were hoping to put it in magazines. We really wanted to show everyone what we could do. And, you know, of course, no one's seen the boat. She is really rotting away on the Thames. She's got scaffolding all around her.
Really?
She's not looking her best. She has to, because there's people trespassing on board. There's all these risks that come with having a big super yacht detained in a place that is not actually meant for berthing super yachts. That means it's the Thames. You can't leave a boat there for that long without any maintenance. So it's very sad, and as you said, very strange. I don't think the UK governments really know what to do with Fee, unfortunately.
Sad story. Thanks for that.
Ending on a low note. Okay, so we're going to move on to questions from the viewers now. So I saw this comment on one of your recent videos, David, and I'm going to read it out for you now. So, Nerateva, sorry, bad pronunciation, W90 says, I've watched hundreds of yacht videos, motor yachts, sailing yachts, monohulls, catamarans, explorers, literally hundreds. And still, I can't figure out one thing. When you take everything into consideration, the size, the features, the design, the brand, why are Mangusta yachts so extremely overpriced compared to other yachts? So David,
You want me to answer that? I don't think they're overpriced, and I feel compelled to say I had quite a conflict with the people at Mangusta over a video that we produced a while ago. But that said, I have to give them credit for their yachts. The build quality is amazing. And I think Mangustas can look overpriced because the amount of volume that you get for the length is not the same as you get with, say, a tri-deck Bonetti. And so the first opinion is, why does it cost so much? It's missing a whole deck. But the fact is, the engines are much bigger. And the engines are so expensive on yachts. The Mangusta 165 doesn't have 2 engines, it has 4 engines and a Mayora jet system as well, which is incredibly expensive. So that partly explains some of the price difference. But then on top of that, I remember quite a few years ago now visiting a yacht built by a very famous yacht builder, who shall remain nameless, who decided it would be a good idea to put this same jet system on one of their standard yachts to make it go faster. It was shocking. The whole yacht, and I'm talking about a 90-foot yacht, had been shaken to pieces. Bulkheads were coming away from the walls, the cabinetry was coming away, because the yacht wasn't built for that kind of power. They made a big mistake. They should never have done that. And the fact that Mangustas are so solid, so well built, and can take that kind of thrust and power and pounding of the waves and absolutely come back into port just in the same condition that when they left, is a tribute to the way that they're built and goes some way to explaining that high price.
Okay, so you're saying it's not just about, you can't just whack the same system onto any old boat and call it a fast boat. You actually have to really go all the way down into the hull, into the early construction of a yacht if you want to build a fast yacht that's going to be able to withstand those kind of speeds.
Yeah, and you've been out on yachts as much as me. You know that when you hit the waves, you don't just hear the bang of the wave, you also hear the cabinetry and sometimes the windscreens. And we were on Black Legend, we filmed Black Legend, and I said to the captain, we need some high-speed footage. So he put the throttle down and there was not a sound, not a sound. The smoothness with which it just came up onto the plane, and we were doing, I think, 30 knots. You could never tell. Had that have been another brand where they just decided to put faster, bigger engines in, you would have heard a lot of banging and squeaking and cabinetry moving. Yeah, they're tremendously well built yachts.
Yeah, okay. I like that little sound bite you gave us of what a yacht sounds like. Can I get that like as a nugget and make it my ringtone?
I was going to say use it as a ringtone when I call you, or when Mangusta calls you.
Okay, so you come in from the technical side, as you always do, telling me about the construction. What about the design? Because to me, I think, you know, Reavers are very iconic boats, and no one bats an eyelid at the price of a Reaver. And Mangustas are the same, right? I mean, you can always spot what a Mangusta looks like from that very thin, sleek, almost pencil-like design. They are very iconic in their own way. And they're also very customizable, right? Because, you know, Black Legend has got the dark hull, the red skull on the side of it. And the interior is pretty customized as well. So, you know, if you're a buyer coming in, you're going to pay a premium to say to a shipyard, actually, I want to change this, this, and this, and I want a big skull on the side of it. And they're going to, you know, charge premium for that, right?
That's right. And, you know, we filmed and sold Serenity, which was another 165. And I remember talking to the captain on that. And you know, captains are the biggest critics, right, of yacht builders. But the captain of Serenity had nothing but praise for the shipyard and the support that they gave him in the refit. Then we also filmed and sold Veni Vidi Vici, which had a huge refit, totally changing the look of the yacht. Mangusta took it on, they did a great job. Again, I had conflict with them a few years ago, but you know, I can't take away from their service and the quality of the build.
Yeah. I've had no conflict with Mangusta, but I have been to the Overmarine shipyard close to Pisa. And actually, it's a very family-run operation, which I think also is maybe why the price is a bit higher, because you're not paying for like a big factory where they're churning out loads and loads of GRP boats. You're paying for someone to come in and really take a more tailored approach to the yacht building process. So maybe that also explains.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point actually. It's big, right? It's big, and they build a lot of yachts, but it's not big like some of the other names.
Nameless shipyards. Okay, well answered. Thank you, David.
It's a pleasure.
Okay, so let's tell you about what's been happening on the channel recently. So David's been running around busily doing things. I've been on holiday, so I haven't been doing quite as much. Although I think by the time you watch this wrap up, my video on Horizon will be published. Is that right?
That's right. And that segues, not that we'd even thought about this beforehand, it's a very good,
This is freestyle.
very, very important point, which is that next Saturday, Horizon, which is a Benetti,
Delfino 93.
will be published. And I want viewers to understand why it is that we're not always physically on the yachts, right? So in the last 7 or 8 days, I've been to Bordeaux to film a project I can't talk about just yet. I've been to Livorno. I've got to go back to Livorno then. I'm going to Barcelona next week. Where are you off to?
I think I'm off to the States, which I'm very excited about. I'm actually going possibly to Rhode Island for a sailing yacht. Can I say that?
Yes, absolutely.
For a sailing yacht. And I've never been to Rhode Island before, so that'll be brilliant. And then I think Dave was also making me schlep down to Fort Lauderdale.
And West Palm Beach.
And West Palm Beach as well.
And Miami.
Quite a long stint, actually, which will be brilliant. But yeah, as David says, we can't be everywhere at once, can we?
So what we're doing, in the case of the Benetti Delfino specifically, you called the captain.
Yeah, I spoke to Captain Boris, he was great. And I also spoke to the broker, Richard Higgins. And they told me a lot about the boats and really filled me in and helped me understand what they're all about. They also did a little kind of walk-through tour of their own with the phone. So I really felt like I was on board the boat with them. But you've heard from the photographer, right, from Horizon?
Yeah,
Horizon
yesterday when we were filming another yacht, which we actually didn't manage to complete filming. But yesterday when we were filming another yacht, I spoke to the photographer from Horizon, and she made a really important point, again, that I want to pass on for the benefit of viewers, that they went to Sorrento, and at this time of the year, Sorrento is full of yachts. And she said every time another yacht went past, it creates a wake. So much so that Boris was calling them over the VHF.
What, saying stop going so close?
Exactly, and saying, will you please slow down? Because the wake then makes the boat do this.
Yeah.
And I know that viewers often will say, oh, doesn't it have, I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but it comes across as like, oh, doesn't it have zero-speed stabilizers? Well, yes, they do, but zero-speed stabilizers can't perform miracles.
Yeah, I mean, it's basic physics, right? A wave hits the boat, it's going to make it rock slightly. There's not really that much you can do about that.
And that's challenging for the photographer, for the videographer, because a lot of these perfect yacht videos that you see, the brokerage company representing them will wait for the perfect day and the perfect conditions when the sea is absolutely flat calm, and then they go film. And that's fine if you're only going to produce one video every 2 or 3 months, but we're trying to produce more than one a week. So we have to work with what we've got, what the weather conditions are within reason. And also I believe it gives a more authentic view of what yachting's really about.
Yeah, I think you're right. Absolutely. It's, much more real.
It is. So that's what we've got coming up. We've got Horizon, then you've got lots of yachts in the States.
Yes.
To film.
And I also just came back from Chioggia to film Ocean King, which I was really pleased to do. Can we talk about my narrative?
Please
about that?
do, yes.
I always feel like Dave was going to tell me off for
Never.
Speaking too much about what we've got going on. But Ocean King is a shipyard in Chioggia, close to Venice. And they built some great boats. They did the Veus, which I think North Stopper Johnson sold, and also a Doge 400. So this is the second hull that we are now following through construction. So David was there a couple of weeks ago?
A few weeks.
A few weeks ago to film the launch, right? Yeah.
Well, we were filming more the shipyard.
Okay.
It was on the day of the launch, it was the day before, but we were filming the shipyard.
And then me and Slava just went out to film the sea trial, which was really fun. I mean, I wasn't really sure exactly how that was going to work. I mean, you've done a lot of sea trials, right, in your broker life. But it's quite different when you're doing it. It was like the 3rd or 4th sea trial, so they were pretty much done testing everything. But they were testing something really specific on this sea trial. They were looking at the emissions to verify if the yacht could be IMO Tier 3 compliant. Doesn't that sound boring? But it wasn't, actually. And when you watch the video, you will see that actually what they have to do to make sure these yachts are compliant is pretty interesting, and getting through the sea trial really opened my eyes up to that. So I'm excited for that video to be published, but it won't be published until a few weeks, right?
Yeah, and that's a good opportunity for me to give a shout out to the Yacht Builders YouTube channel. I'm tremendously proud of all the work that we've all done with that channel, because it's the first ever YouTube channel that really shows how yachts are built. It's now reached 20,000 subscribers. We've got 2 million views. And I had a tremendously encouraging message on LinkedIn just a few days ago from somebody saying, I've just bought the new, I think I'll say what it was, the new Monin Martinique, and your Yacht Builders channel was tremendously influential in that decision.
Really? Wow.
So that's very satisfying. And with Ocean King, we're doing something, again, that's never been done before. I don't think sea trials have ever been shown in any detail on YouTube before, but we're going to do a series, which we're also doing for the Aris shipyard with Ximena and the Lazara shipyard. But the series will show the shipyard, the yachting construction, the sea trials, and then the finished product. And the finished product, if the Yachts For Sale, which they usually are, will go on the Yachts For Sale channel. The others are on the Yacht Builders channel.
Okay, so you should all be subscribing to the Yacht Builders channel, is what you're trying to say?
In a roundabout way, yes.
Brilliant. Okay. Anything else, or should we call it there?
That's it from me.
That's it from me as well. So, thank you very much for watching. We hope that you enjoyed this format. It's a little bit more casual, shall we say? Chatty with some of our last videos. So yeah, let us know if this format works for you. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in 4 weeks for more talking points from the yachting industry. Bye.
Chattier Katia.
Chattier Katia. You didn't say bye to the viewers.
Bye.
Bye.
It's because I was thinking about the line Chattier Katia. That's fine.
The fun came first.
What do you think, Yarrick?
Love it.
Did you? Did you really? I think it will make a nice podcast. Very nice podcast.
But you're not sure about the video.
I think the video will be great, but I think it's bringing our podcast quality up to a new level.